Good morning, family. Happy Sunday. Listen, I just want to say some words of encouragement um, to my brothers and sisters, my nieces and nephews. God bless you. I love you. God told me, you guys, every time I see you calling me auntie, you guys remind me of when God told me that's not when I came out of the secret societies. He said, that's not how I'm going to give you brothers and sisters. And I've been trying to figure it out on my own, but as I just walk in my calling, just be myself, being living my normal life and just shining my light. And I hear that, hey auntie, hey sister, you know, it really blesses my soul. It humbles me and it keeps me, just seeking God. Um, and so good morning to you all. God bless you, auntie. Love you back. But what I want to say is this is just a word of encouragement. I just want to let you guys know, as always, you're never alone in this world. Many of you just so many of you reading through them emails, boy, man, it weighs on my spirit. It's heavy. It's heavy. So many are going through pain, different situations, and then not only that, we entering into winter times, and so they say, research says during the winter time the suicide rate is high. People go into depression, and I personally feel like it's tied to the sun. The sun not being as out and bright. When it's summertime, the first thing happens when we get in spring, everybody's cooking out together. You meet more people. You interact with people more, which is a good thing. And then in the wintertime, everybody's kind of more to themselves, and the sun is not shining. The sun is, it's just a beautiful thing. I went out yesterday. I was out at the park, me and the dogs walking, and immediately when I got into that big field and I felt that sun shining, it just, I just felt, it made me feel joy. And I said, the sun, you know, the sun brings such a great positive energy. That's just my little 2 cents. But I just want everybody to be encouraged. My heart, with some of the things that many of you are going through, is tugs at my heart. And all I can say is I'm sorry. I know that really don't help. Is pain is pain. And the only thing that over time, what heals pain is time. Time and finding things to occupy your mind. We've all felt pain. We've all been through pain in different areas of our lives, different aspects. We've all felt it. And the only thing that heals it is just keep moving, finding something to occupy yourself, and just keep going. I know how it feels when your heart is hurting and you've been through all of the, things in life where you say you never felt like nobody just can ever relate to you. Nobody can ever appreciate the things that you do. I felt that. One sister, you said your friend of all those years when you traveled and you found out she was the main one, like all them years she never was your friend after y'all was friends for many years. You ain't the only one been through that. Many of us have. And it's what I'm beginning to conclude is that it's strategic by the enemy for darkness to latch on to light. And sometimes as you come out of that pain, all it does, it shapes us, it molds us, it makes us stronger. And you learn how to keep your guards up. You learn what boundaries are. I'm not ashamed to say I never knew what boundaries was. I was just working my little country bunking stuff, doing my thing until I went through a very hard situation, And then my big sister, I started learning things, and other folk, I learned what boundaries were, and I don't think I'm still learning how to keep them up. you know I'm learning how to make them and keep them up as I go without I don't know, how could I say it, just sometimes I get to a place where I just don't want anybody to deal with anybody, and I know that's really not a good place to be. Sometimes I just want to go and bury and hide myself in a world full of greed, hatred, lies, manipulation, backbiting. You'll have people who are wicked. There are witches in this world. Witches are very real, you know. And the Bible says, suffer a witch not to live. Let death come to everything that they do. So you can target your prayers just as what the scriptures speak. The Bible also says there's no rest for the wicked. And you will see the wicked, sometimes they will team up and it seems like they're happy and they're just not thinking about what they've done. But let me tell you something. When you have a pure heart and a pure soul, anytime somebody oversteps you or does wrong to you, it's like they're cursed in the spiritual realm. They're cursed, even though they can go on and act like it's just nothing, like they don't care. They can move on from one supply to the next supply and move on to the next. They're receiving all of their honors in the earth. They have nothing else to look forward to. They have nothing else to look forward to. They're self-seeking. They're self-absorbed, and so it may feel like they just go on and they just not hurt, and that thing may hurt you even more sometimes, especially when it's somebody you consider close, like a brother, a sister, or a family member, and you just see, how could they forget about me? How could they have done this to me? That's what you think when you got a pure heart, and then sometimes you may, when you come into contact with some folk and you see what they feel, you can feel what they feel. Sometimes that hurts you and you don't even say nothing. You can pick up. That's your gifts of the Spirit. That's your gifts of the Spirit. And as you move forward in life, it teaches you how to guard your heart. The Bible says, guard our hearts. Everything we do flow from it. When you're a loving person, you have to learn how to guard your heart. It takes being betrayed. Betrayal should make us better, not bitter. It should make us better. When it makes you better, so you don't turn into the person that betrayed you. You don't say, I'm going to get him back. I'm going to wait for an opportune time. But those that do that, they become more and more strategic in their wicked ways. They become more and more clever at how to bring good people down. They are witches. They are warlocks. And they fight against what's right. As I was concluding 2nd Maccabees, I was a little discouraged, but the war never stopped. The dark wickedness, they always came against God's people. But you know what encouraged me? As I kept reading and how they were strategically attacked, how the enemy constantly told lies and slander and organized themselves against God's people. Jehudah, he constantly went down on his knees and cried out to Yahuwah, baby. They constantly remembered, okay, he delivered us this time. He'll do it again. Every time they cried out and they arrested the attention of God, they sought God. They sought him to renew their strength, to help them gain the victory over their adversaries. All they wanted to do was defend themselves. That's all they wanted to do, was defeat the adversaries that was coming against them. And you know what God did? He kept giving them the strength to fight. They fought wars. People came against them physically to take their lives. Self-defense is not against the law. But many of us, we're fighting spiritual wars. But we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And if that time come in the earth, which I believe there may be a time, we may live to see it or we may not, where all things begin to break down and there's physical wars that need to be fought, God will give his people the victory there too. So that's what strengthened me at seeing how God showed up for his people. He said, I'll never leave you, never forsake you. Many of you, you're fighting spiritual wars when it comes to your health. Your temple is under attack. Sometimes it's the things that we put in our own bodies that cause this thing to act up and not function properly, not make us feel good. So when we learn better, we do better. We start eating the things that serve this body better, right? And sometimes the Spirit will lead you. But then there are times when sometimes you can be eating the things that serve the body better and you just come under attack. And it takes fighting. You need people around you that's not going to weaken your spirit. When you're under attack, your spirit becomes fragile like a little baby. When you're going through all that pain, your spirit is fragile. And you got to be careful who you let get to you, get around you, or who you give your ear to. Because there's some people, they know what you're going through. They know pain. But if their hearts are not right, if they're working against you, if they don't like you, you cannot do nothing to people sometimes. If they don't like you, they'll They know that your spirit is fragile. They know that your pain, they know the pain that you carry, especially if they're older than you because they've experienced things in you. But if their hearts have turned cold and the enemy is with them, they can have a spirit with them that will that will influence them of how to continuously work on breaking your spirit. And you just have to be careful about that. It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing sometimes. And when you're going through that infirmity in your body and stuff, you have people around you sometimes. They're not strong in the word of God. They're not strong in faith. So they may be around you and being all said, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm this. You don't need that. Not when you're a warrior, not when you believe in God to heal you. If you believe in God to heal you, why you need people around you that's just crying and down and so sad? That ain't nobody that operating in faith. You need people around you that remind you of the word of God. Because as they remind you of the word of God, faith comes by hearing. And that's going to build your faith. You see, if God did it for Hezekiah, he can do it for you. When Hezekiah was going to go back to the Lord, his time was coming. There was an illness that he was going to go back and that was going to take him out. After the prophet left, God sent the prophet to warn him to get his house in order. He turned his face to the wall and he began to cry and remind God of everything that he'd done. He wasn't ready to go back just yet. He wanted more time. And so you know what? He arrested the attention of God. The prayers of the righteous avail much, baby. The righteous shall decree a thing and it shall be so. You have to take authority, every word we speak. And sometimes when we weak, even we can be the strongest person, even the strongest person get weak sometimes. You don't need weak people around you. And sometimes when you get weak, that's when you realize, and you look around, that's when you realize the whole time you was the one leading the crowd. You was the one that everybody was riding off of. When you get weak, you need strong people speaking back in your spirit. And so therefore you got to make strong connections or stay by yourself because you ain't going to hurt yourself. See? Sometimes you have people get close to you and they will take their time to learn you for a long time. And because they're sent by the enemy, their goal is to pull you down. It's sad. It's sad, but it's reality. When we accept reality, we can move different in the earth. We can learn to test spirits better, you know. But Hezekiah cried out to God. He arrested God's attention. And God sent the prophet back to him. And God granted him 15 more years. You see, he answered Hezekiah's prayer. God can change his mind. He can do anything. He's the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. He's a bridge over troubled waters. He's a doctor if you need a doctor. To look at the woman with the issue of blood. Her faith. Everything starts by faith. I posted last night. Faith is vital. That's what came to me after I concluded 2nd Maccabees. Faith is vital. Even though the men kept fighting them wars. You know, you think about how physically and spiritually they were tired. But they never lost faith. Job never lost his faith. Even when his very wife told him, go ahead, curse God and die. He never lost his faith. He never gave up his faith. And in the end, he got stronger. He was restored. Restoration. Look at blind Bartimaeus. People was telling blind Bartimaeus to shut up. Blind Bartimaeus couldn't see, had to beg. He was a blind beggar. And here you have people telling this man, shut up. People who got their own health and strength, who got their eyes walking around. And this man sitting down there, heard that Jesus in the crowd. Oh, I got to get his attention. Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth. People saying, be quiet. Shut up. They despised him. They got tired of him. They didn't know the heavy heart that man was calling Jesus. They didn't know what it felt like to walk in his shoes. But they had an opinion. See, I did that video I said the other morning? Overcome the bondage of other people's opinions. See, there were people who heard him yelling for Jesus. He wasn't yelling for them. They could have kept their mouth shut. for their opinions. They wanted him to shut up. They were annoyed by this man's voice, by this man's cry of faith. He was crying out because he believed if I could arrest his attention, he could heal me. And they told him to shut up, keep quiet, but he didn't care. He done been blind. What else he got to lose? He done been down. Jesus of Nazareth. And Jesus said, who's that? Bring him here. Then they had to get him up and brought him to Jesus. He was persistent. So I said, be encouraged, you. Many of you, you're going through battles on many different levels. Be persistent. Be encouraged. Don't give up. Folk hurt you and they act like they don't care. Keep going. Pick up your cross and walk. Folk lie on you. They try to sabotage you. Pick up your cross and walk. You're going through sickness in your body. Doctors trying to curse you with the words, giving you negative reports. That's all they know according to science. They're only telling you what they believe because scientifically it's proven this is what the end gonna be like. But you got faith. See, faith is the substance of hope for the evidence of things not seen. You have to keep believing. You can't stop believing, baby. It's faith that's gonna make you whole. It's faith that's gonna heal you. And I bind my faith with yours. I know how it feels when you have the manifestation of the sickness in your body. You in pain. You in despair. So many negative thoughts come into your mind. Everybody around you going on with life. And you just looking for a word or encouragement. You need something to revive your spirit because life is in the spirit. So I understand. Sometimes I get overwhelmed at the emails because I'm just one person. But I understand. I've been there. I suffered with endometriosis for many years. I know what it feels like. For many years, I suffered with it. The pain in my body. Over and over being told that there's no cure. But now I'm healed. A healed woman of God. Only God can do that. Medical science said there was no cure. So when I talk and I say this, I'm not just saying it just to say it. I feel the pain. It's heavy on me sometimes. I feel the burden that you carry. But I pray for you. And if you could just keep your faith, the faith is vital. If you can keep the faith and you keep believing and believe, don't give up. And you look into God's everything, many things that we need healing is right here in this earth. Sometimes your body need a detox. Did you know that? Castoro is a very powerful oil that you can rub it on your body and it penetrates through the skin. Did you know that? It heals. There was a lady that had breast cancer. She said she was told that she was going to have to get her breast cut off. It was no cure. She said she took a herb. I forgot it was something called ashwagandha. She took that, and she said she would rub her breast where the knot was at. It was very bad. She said she would rub with iodine sometimes to clean it. She said she would rub with Castoro, and it was another oil I can't remember. But she said that Castoro, when she would rub with that, she said she did it for over, I think she said a month or so. And she began to see that knot begin to go away in her diet, the food that she would put in her body. You know, and over time, that knot, it left. She never got her breast cut off. Castor oil is very powerful oil. I know my grandmama used to give it to my mama them, and then my mama used to give it to me growing up. You know, it's like a laxative, cleans out the body, but it's also good to rub over certain areas of the body, and it soaks down into the skin. You know, there's certain herbs that I learned from Dr. Sebi about detoxing the body, bladder wrack, If you have overactive thyroid, it's not good to take the bladderwrack powder. But if you have underactive thyroid, that bladderwrack powder is very good. I learned a lot of things from Dr. Sebi. And burdock root, mixing burdock root. Burdock root is very good. Iris sea moss, it strengthens the bones in the body. It also is good for the digestive and the immune system. I've been making my own pills. I make pills for certain people. Sometimes some of my elders or certain people said they, they're feeling some type of way. There's certain different herbs. I just share what I have. I have my own tea bags. I have not been going in the woods finding the herbs yet. I would like to start growing some, but I just don't have the time cut out to do a lot of things sometimes. There are a lot of things that demand my time, and I'm only one person. But I order different types of the herbs that's just dry, and the elderberries, all of that. And I have my own tea bags, so I put sometimes I put a pinch of the burdock root. I put a pinch of some of the elderberries. I put a pinch of the sarsaparilla leaves and the vervain herb. Herb is very good to relax the central nervous system. If you're dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety, that vervain herb, you can put some in a tea, and it'll relax the mind. It's very good, especially, and if you have a hard time sleeping at night, you can take some of that. But those things, though, if you mix a lot of those herbs, it can be very nasty. The more you mix, the more it's a nasty taste, very bitter. But when you take it together like that, it'll detox your body. A lot of times Dr. Sebi used to say a lot of illnesses, they begin right in the colon. And I remember this young guy, one of my colleagues at the time, he was just a young Caucasian guy, and he's a handsome young man. And one day he was late for work, and when I was there at the business, when he showed up. I said, something different about you. He showed up with glasses, and he was like, yeah, I can't hardly see now. I was like, you can't hardly see? I said, you so young. He's like, yeah, I went to the doctor. My eyes are blurred. I said, I bet you're constipated, ain't it? He was like, yeah. I said, you need to detox. I bet if you detox your body and get on some healthy food, I said, your eyes probably will clear up. I learned that from Dr. Sebi. And he was like, what? And then he opened this little vape thing, and I said, you need to stop that right there too. He said, I'm throwing it in the trash right now because I want to see. I said, well, I got some herbs. I can give you some. And I gave him all the herbs and things. And, that began to help them. And then one of his other colleagues texted me one night. He said, you don't mind sending me a list of them herbs? If I know something, I don't mind sharing it. Why would I take the knowledge I learned back to my grave, when it can help God's people? And I learned it. It was passed down, from Dr. Sebi. I ain't paid no fee for it. Knowledge just passed down, natural things in the earth. And I'm still learning. I like to learn from my brothers and sisters. Whatever they know, let's pass it down. Let's help each other. I do what I do because it's in my heart. I do what I do because it comes from the heart, right? That's all. But I want you to be encouraged. That infirmity, that spirit of infirmity, it could be lifted off of you. You pray and you ask God to lift it off of you and to give you the wisdom that you need. Whatever you need to do. Faith without works is dead. Give you the knowledge that you need to bring about that healing, and it shall be done. Yep. And so that's just what was on my heart to share. You that are carrying a heavy heart, dealing with betrayals, you go back to many of my videos. I didn't talk about it over and over. Many of us have been through all of that. We've been through the same thing, and as you level up, as you overcome the things that were meant to break you and get stronger, the battles don't stop. As you study the word helps me. It helps bring clarity to this earthly life. The battles don't stop. Unwarranted battles don't stop. There are people who have made up their mind to be a part of the dark side. They believe in all the spirituality, the divinations, their false gods, all these monitoring spirits. They sit and they watch. They sit and they watch and they collect information. The kingdom of darkness is very strategic. But when you've got God on your side, he says, I give the angels charge over you. In Luke 10:19, he says, I've given you the power The prayers of the righteous avail much. You got to be prayerful. You got to be watchful and guard your heart. You have some folk who are witches. They deliberately will try to get close to you, draw you in, be so kind, have the vibe can feel like it's so good. And then you'll see them flip. They do things to cut your spirit. That's them wanting to snatch your peace. See? They know what they're doing. They're strategic. And your mind is now focused on them like, well, Dad, I thought we was tight. We was bonding. We was building something. They done snatched your peace and they going on about their business. They got your energy. Inside, they are empty vessels. They have no love. You know, some people disagree with me when I say this, but I'm going to keep saying it because it's true. Test love. I've said it so many times. Test people's love. And they can say, I love you, but it's an action word. They may love what you do, but do they really love you, the person? What do they know about you? Have they ever had a conversation with you? Have they ever picked up the phone and checked on you? Have they ever told you that they appreciate you? You know, showing you honor and appreciation for how you have encouraged them in certain areas? You know, many of you encourage people. Some people are too prideful to tell you that you're encouraging them. They're sitting back drawing inspiration and encouragement from you, and they don't like you. That's fake. You see, when you are genuine, when you're a straight shooter, when you do what you do from the heart, you operate differently. When you're genuine, you do what you do genuine. You can compliment your brothers and sisters. You can encourage others from the heart. You don't have to try to get close to nobody and then show them, oh, you ain't all that neither. If you got an issue with them, you can talk to them face to face. You can say, let me talk to you on the side here. You don't have to try to embarrass nobody. You don't have to try to get close to nobody and copy from them, you know. You can deal with people respectfully and straightforwardly because you are genuine. You see, if you're fake, you can pretend. You can pretend and be cordial very well. But in your heart, you and God know. See, God knows our heart. If I don't like you, and I can show up and look at you, or I can give you a fake compliment just to keep you thrown off, that doesn't make me real. That makes me fake. Why? Because deep within, I know I don't like you, and I am showing up to keep you thrown off, making you think that I like you. And see, many of you, you've been had these spirits of falsehood attached to you for so long, all these years. You ain't the only one. I've been there too. I've been there too. I've been there too. I was betrayed by someone who I considered a sister, but it didn't start with us. Like I say, baby, there's nothing new under the sun. You understand me? Ain't nothing new under the sun. David said it was the one I broke bread with. So it just didn't begin with us. It ain't begin with us. So pick up your cross and keep walking. You just learn how to move differently as you go on. It's good people out there. It's good people out there. Let's continue to be what we want. You know, if you never had loyalty, be loyal. But you can't be that to fake people. When you see somebody is only showing you love or support or attention because they want that from you, or they just doing that just to they're doing the bare minimum while you're pouring out, or if you're feeling drained, then you know that that's not a relationship that's serving you. And if you love yourself, you're going to start to pull back. And don't let people get in your head, because sometimes when people know that you can see them for who they are and they know that you're onto them, sometimes people will try to hover you and make you look like who they are, make you look like the bad person. You know, sometimes they'll try to confuse you and throw you off, or they'll try to reel you back in, not because they change, or not because they want to love you and do right by you. You'll know if they want to love you and do right by you because they'll do it. You'll feel it. They'll show you, Communication is everything. So anyway, that's just my little 2 cents, you know. Know that your country bunking sister praying for you. You know, it's a lot. It's heavy. You know, it's a lot because so many are going through certain things, and it's, you know, you got to try to read through all of this and pray, and I'm a human being too. You know, I got to live my life and have strength for me. And I got battles that I have to fight. You know, I had to keep myself strong mentally, you know. And so I have a lot of avenues where I can turn to and receive somebody to pour into me. You know, I don't have places where I can email, you know, and get a response back for somebody to, you know, touch and agree with me, you know. So just know that it's a lot. And every time I post on this here thing, yeah, attacks come. They do come, you know. And so we have to stay in prayer because every time you try to do good, what? Evil is always present, you know. Evil is always present. When I don't like someone, nobody forces anyone to follow and watch, but you have evil who deliberately watch and follow just to sow seeds of discord, right? So let's continue to stay in prayer, and I want you to be encouraged. Be encouraged. Every time their adversaries came up against them, Judah those, they went down on their knees, and they said, the same God, Elohim, he covered these people. As long as these people are doing right by their God, they cannot be overcome. But the attacks don't feel good. I know. The betrayals don't feel good. Walking with infirmity don't feel good. Pick up your cross and you keep walking and you keep believing. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. The just shall live by faith. It is your faith. When that woman touched Jesus' clothes, he said, what great faith you have. Your faith has made you whole. Go in peace. Your faith has healed you. You must continue to walk by faith. I suffered for many years under many different doctors, being medicated by many different things. I was encouraging one of my younger sisters Friday evening. I made her some moringa tablets, and I gave her some other herbs, and she was suffering with something. She shared her frustration with me. She said, Sabrina, I'm so tired going to all these doctors. She watched my YouTube channel. Shout out to my sister, you know, but I'm believing with her. People are tired. God knows many of you are tired. But if I can encourage you to do one thing, it is keep the faith. The just shall live by faith. And your burden is going to turn into a testimony. I'm a living witness. Have a blessed day. I love you. We are the light of the world. Don't ever let your light grow dark. Keep shining bright. And we know that the blood of Jesus Yeshua is the only blood that has power.